Hey Birchouse friends, welcome back. So this week's question is one we drew last week, and it comes from Kara Guillard. And Kara asks, "Hey Birchouse, what is your favorite thing to craft?" Um, so I think probably my favorite thing to craft. By the way, that was a great question. Um, is probably shields. And as I spent the week thinking about this, it was kind of an answer that surprised me. I haven't really ever thought about like, well, what do I enjoy most creating? And so it was something I actually had to think about this week. And I think that with no due disrespect to others who work in my niche, in the realm of what I do, I think a lot of people go after weaponry, swords especially. Like everybody wants to build swords and knives. Knives are a big one. Um, and like I said, no shade, no disrespect. The people who build swords, who forge and smith swords and knives, and to a further extent axes, things like that, are incredibly talented folks. And I am always in awe of my peers who work in that realm. But I don't see a lot of people putting time and effort into shields, and shields are an important part of our history as a human species. Um, they go back as far as people fighting other people, um, and so we see some of the earliest shields being a stick with a kind of a leather covering to cover the hand a little bit, and it was just a parrying stick, um, up to our modern day, like our SWAT officers who use like riot shields. They have been an integral part of our history, and not only being a defensive tool but an offensive tool. A lot of these shields, especially like the ones behind me, can be used both defensively, protecting yourself, or offensively, using them to strike out. And so they have always been a part of human history. And I think they kind of get overlooked because swords and knives, axes, they're sexier. They have that more lethal cool about them. Um, but I find myself fascinated with shields, and I find myself fascinated doing the research, looking at the different materials and different ways that people throughout history um, came up with different answers to the same problem. How do I protect my body in a battle? Um, and so I found myself uh, really, my favorite thing to build is shields. And what is surprising to me about that is that um, I didn't start off building shields. This business was originally set up to make weapon displays, armor displays, helmet displays. I always thought, like, people buy really expensive swords, they buy expensive armor, they want something nice to display it on. And I did Viking shields kind of on a whim. I had already built a few, and I was like, well, I'll make some Viking shields. And they kind of sold quick, and we got a helping hand right away from the Swordsmanship Museum and Academy. Um, and so we kind of just leaned into our shields, and then every year we've tried to add like a new shield to our inventory. So shields are my favorite thing to build. A close second would be anything artistic. We do a lot of artsy things, little kodamas, and shelf animals, little decorative things. Um, the art stuff allows me to step away from the history stuff and just do something that lets me stretch my artistic wings a little bit, so to speak. That was a great question. Um, Hopefully, the answer wasn't too long-winded. I tried to keep it concise, but thank you so much for asking. I'm going to draw a question for next week. And this question comes from Joseph Francis Abraham. So we will answer this question next week. In the meantime, if you ever have a question for Birchouse, comment below with "Hey Birchouse, ask," and we'll answer it in a future video. In the meantime, we'll see you all next Wednesday.